social justice is a vital issue. The reason is simple. It's the degree of social injustice in our country. One of the worst aspects of social injustice is that people face fear and suffering. Of course, not everyone who grows up in a deprived neighbourhood turns to crime. Just as not everyone who grows up in a rich neighbourhood stays on the straight and narrow. Individuals are responsible for their own actions. Every individual has the choice between doing the right thing or the wrong thing. But there are connections between circumstances and behaviour.
And there are children who are the clients of many agencies, but the charges of no one. Prey to drugs, into crime and antisocial behaviour, lacking in self-belief, lacking a basic stake in the society into which they are born.
The first thing is to recognise that we'll never get the answers right unless we understand what's actually gone wrong. Understanding the backgrounds, the reasons, the causes, but debating the symptoms rather than the causes is not going to get us very far. If the first thing we have to do is to understand what's gone wrong, the second thing is to realise that putting things right is not just about law enforcement.
Not prepared to predict and intervene far more early than there are children that are going to grow up in families that we know perfectly well are completely dysfunctional, and the kids a few years down the line are going to be a menace to society and actually a threat to themselves.
I'm interested in how early, because a lot of the evidence suggests you need to be getting in there while the child is still in nappies, frankly.
Or pre-birth, even. We should be intervening far earlier, making it clear that in those circumstances, from a very early age, there's going to be support, but also some sense of discipline and framework put in place in order to make sure that that child gets a better start in life. That group of families that are severely dysfunctional, that have multiple problems, there is no point in sort of pussyfooting around the issues.
That's scary for people, you know. This is Big Brother. This is, that kid there is a problem of the future. We must go in.
Yeah, but you're going in to offer help and support. For example,
you may be going in to say, you're not going to accept our support, so we'll take your child away.
Well, you've got to look after the interests of the child.
But the idea that the state should intervene in how families bring up their children before problems occur is extremely contentious.
The government is trying to take over a parenting role. I mean, the idea of removing children, the proposal isn't completely clear, but the suggestion that children would be removed is not actually tackling the problem.
And if the phrase social justice is to be meaningful, it has to be about justice as well as about compassion and kindness. It has to involve a sense of cause and consequence, of just rewards and just deserts. One of the most important things we can teach our children is a sense of justice. Justice is about setting boundaries, and stepping over those boundaries should have painful consequences. But that is not the whole answer. To build a safe and civilized society for the long term, we have to look at what goes on inside those boundaries. If the consequences of stepping over the line should be painful, then staying within the bounds of good behaviour should be pleasant.